wish you a very good evening. I'm Kanika Kumar, a special educator and the founder of Minds That Matter. Today I'm in conversation with Angela Mahoney. She is the author of I Can Work curriculum. She has 18 years experience working with children of all ages in a variety of settings. She teaches educators, therapists and parents the vocational skill building action steps for creating a highly engaged transition plan, developing hands-on job-related opportunities, and the use of data paired with reflection to prepare all individuals for successful employment. So please join me in welcoming Angela. She will be talking about vocational training for special needs children today.
Hi, Angela.
Hello, Kanika. I'm apologizing in advance. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you now, no problem.
Okay. I know it's always technology, so I apologize for the delay. So back to sort of, you had asked, what is vocational training?
Right.
Okay, so vocational training really can be a variety of things, and it can look in a variety of ways, right? So it's really just taking the time at an early age to influence, communicate, and take hands-on opportunities to practice with students or children in a variety of areas to explore. So we call it training, but really you're looking at how do we teach the vocabulary, how do we teach the language, and how do we learn hands-on skills in a variety of areas like clerical, food service, grocery, office, different environments.
Right. So whom do we train for vocational activities? Who is this program for?
So when it initially started, it was really based for individuals that needed an IEP plan, like an individualized education plan. And we were really focusing on those goals and objectives. But over the last 5 years, the program has been utilized with really anyone that is preparing for jobs in the community. So high schoolers are utilizing it, again, because you're practicing interview skills, which everyone needs. Right? You're practicing job application skills, which everyone needs. It's just how early do you start it that we really look at, and how frequently do you practice it is what is the difference for who's utilizing it at what rate. So really anyone can use it. It's been used with individuals learning English as a language because it's picture supported for readers. It's been utilized with individuals that have OT or occupational concerns, so they're really practicing those fine motor vocational skills. And it's also been used with individuals that are learning how to communicate with the community, through more of like an augmentative form. So it can be used and manipulated for everyone. That's what's really exciting. Everyone can kind of find that spark. It's just us kind of working with you to see how do we get there.
Okay. Right. So you said that it can be used with high school students as well. So what age should we start training our children for this?
I recommend middle school start the conversation. So really start when you're out and about, point out those jobs, talk about what you see when you're out and about, build the vocabulary. So they're starting to learn cashier, or they're learning this is someone who works in an office, or look at what they work with. Talk about their uniforms, because that starts to really spark the awareness of what jobs are even in the community. So I really recommend, starting in middle school, do the role playing, watch YouTube videos, talk about what you see and kind of role play together. And then in high school, do more of the hands-on application where you're really breaking down clerical skills and you're tracking what you're practicing, and you're really learning and looking at what are you trying, what do you like, and what do you not like, because then it will start to show a pattern for everyone, and you're like, you didn't like the things you practiced with retail, but you really liked the grocery work. Let's just have your first job or volunteer in a grocery environment, because you'll feel more confident, right, as that person, and you have that foundation to help you feel more confident and be more successful when you first try, to go into an employment or to a new job. It's scary and overwhelming for sure.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because just the word interview can be
Yes.
really anxiety provoking for children.
Right? Exactly. And I think our goal is to give them that skill, like that toolbox. I want the students to feel like, okay, I've practiced in a lot of things and I have a toolbox so that when I am in an interview or I have to ask for help or I'm talking with a coworker and I don't quite know what to say or, navigating that, I have some tools because I've practiced, I've done those role playing pieces, and we've looked at that, earlier. So we are taking that earlier time again to just practice in an environment that's safe. So you're not in the community yet, but you're able to work with your teacher or your parents and practice, right? To feel more confident.
Of course. So, Angela, you mentioned that it's important to identify what are the interests of the children as well as what is it that they are not interested in. So, is there some kind of an assessment tool that we can use to see what the child might be interested in, what skill the child might actually do better in?
Yes, so really anything that you decide to do, but if you're using the I Can Work program, each of the modules or the areas we're looking at, which are like clerical, food service, grocery, they have a data collection chart where you track how many were completed. And then at the end, the student or the individual, they reflect. And this can be done with anything that someone is practicing for vocation. And I always stress, if it's a hands-on task, like let's say folding in thirds, it doesn't need to be do 500 of them, right? You're sort of taking 15 minutes, practice this task, and then tell me what you thought, right? Like you want the student to not feel exhausted by it. So at the end of the work, you say to them, what did you think? And some individuals can say back verbally what they thought. Other friends use picture supports to circle what they thought. And then some even have a version where you give a field of, 2 to 3 and friends can like pick up what they thought. But they say, I liked the job. I didn't like the job. It was challenging. It was frustrating. And you take each month and you look at how many times do they feel frustrated and how many times do they enjoy it. And that's your data to kind of say, okay, how much are they enjoying retail tasks, right? How much do they enjoy clerical? So it does take a few months of trying things, of collecting that data, of having those moments of reflection with the student. You want to take about 5 minutes to say, what'd you think? Because that's important for them to have a voice in their journey of vocation.
Right. So, is there something that parents can do at home to develop the skills of their children?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love the retail module for this reason because it includes things like helping in the kitchen, sorting the silverware, after the dishwasher or washing the dishes are clean, putting them away. Setting the table prepares for working in a restaurant environment. Clearing the table prepares for that. Even little things like that are really important. With the laundry, sorting, looking at sizes, practicing hanging shirts on hangers. Those are things that are all done in retail environments as jobs, right? So you're giving them that comfort and that responsibility, and it can be done through chores, which really helps them grow also, right? And feel more confident and independent. And if you have older children at home, but you're trying to build those skills, I've recommended doing like a little work skills station where you have time cards. So they're kind of signing in to do their jobs around the house. They can maybe even have like a little job tag. They go and do their jobs, whatever it is, emptying the trash, bringing the trash out, just everyday home chores. But they're kind of practicing using a time card, noting the time, the date, signing in and out, and then maybe you can like pay them in some way, as a reinforcement for doing the chore. And they kind of learn the concepts of work, which is a neat way to tie it in at home.
Right.
And those time cards you can get online. You can, kind of print out an image of a time card and, have them if you wanted something to try.
Right. Okay, so how do we check whether the child has readiness for starting a job?
So that is through a little bit of that trial and error. You are going to sort of take that time. And if you said, and we have videos that I can recommend that you show first on how to do the job step by step. And there's visuals for what it should look like. And sometimes it is just, we tried 15 and they really didn't like it at all or couldn't do one. And then you note that. and you come back to it, right? That's what I think is important, because it might just be an off day. It might be a day that they weren't in the mood, or, you know, weren't ready to try something like that. But if you come back in a month, they might do really well with it or want to try it again. So some of it is just trying and tracking. You know, you're kind of keeping track of what you try, what you've talked about. What I like about I Can Work is it gives you 5 areas to focus on first, because it can feel overwhelming. Where do I begin, right? Like, where do I start? So I really recommend job readiness. That's the first module. And it really helps, again, kind of just talk about, what do we see in our community? What is the vocabulary? How do I prepare for work? What are uniforms? How do I communicate at work? And it's much more role playing and kind of relationship building with the student, which is a nice start to then building those hands-on skills.
Right, right. So, could you tell us some more detail about what they learn in these modules, so that we can understand a few of the activities that parents or teachers can do with the children?
Absolutely. So in clerical, you're really still doing the hands-on preparation for things like mailings. So you're folding in thirds, sealing and mailing envelopes, placing the labels, you know, understanding all those concepts. You're stapling papers, you're collating, and you're filing. You can either file by letter just to start, or you're filing, you know, by by word, because there's different levels for everything. So again, everything has picture supports, everything has visuals for completion, and it has 2 levels. So if you are good at folding in thirds, you can actually learn, you can make a physical jig to help students that need that step, and how to do that is in the curriculum, which is really neat. So again, if it needs to be differentiated, I'm here to help, but it's also guided in the program for you, which I know is needed, because every learner, you know, everybody's unique in that sense. In the area of retail, you're learning how to pair shoes and then size them, because that's a job in a retail environment here. How to place them in a shoebox, because believe it or not, they don't always fit right. So that takes some time and some practice. How to hang and stock, you know, clothes. How to put the size tag on the hanger, because that's also a job in the retail environment. So those are some skills that are practiced there. Sheets and towel folding, because that's a hotel environment job that's also, you know, sort of that entry level beginning work, you know, so just practicing those skills. I'm still learning how to fold my sheets. I still have not mastered that. So, you know, work in progress. Yeah. Right. Grocery, you're learning how to understand hot and cold, right? Soft and hard items, those first concepts, how to bag those items, how to stock shelves. So you're practicing those hands-on skills. And then in food service, you're learning how to set the table, clear the table, prepare condiments for the table, as well as take orders. So it's neat. You know, it tries to just give you that foundation work in all those areas to then know, where do we go to next?
Right, right. So before they actually start with the training for vocation, they would require some kind of prerequisite skills. What would those prerequisites be?
Well, and that's really what this will show you in a way. This is really your first step to then say, what would we do next? So believe it or not, if you went through the modules, and your prereqs would really just be more accessibility to those materials more than anything, you know, or the physical ability to manipulate them. Sometimes that can be a challenge. If individuals have physical challenges, we might have to come up with some adaptations before, you know, but really prerequisite wise, it's just a desire to work with the person that's coaching them, and to be comfortable reflecting, and also being able to, you know, try new things.
Right, right.
Because it's really just that starting point. You know, it really is, the prereq is just the desire to learn about your community and find what excites you. And, you know, and learning to be okay with that, and expressing yourself about, oh, I liked this, or this was tricky. That takes learning to be an advocate for yourself, you know, and understanding, and that takes time too.
What about, you know, the kind of motor skills that they would require for engaging in any of these trainings? So how can we work on those skills?
So I like to use task boxes, and these are boxes where In them are a few of the materials that you want the student to work with or your child. And they have, so if you're sorting silverware, you take this box and it has a tray, and they're going to take a few minutes and sort each one. So you can start at that level, even in the elementary level, to start building the fine motor skills, you know, of folding and creasing, things like that. But again, you might want to try it first and see if they can do it. And then we can always look at, okay, this was too tricky. How can we adapt it? But most things, like putting the hanger in the clothes, that takes some practice for everyone to get comfortable with.
Right.
You know, and that's again why practicing it, you know, once or twice in a year. If you're doing all the modules, it takes about 12 months to do all of them. If you're going to do each activity twice, you know, you really want to spread it out, try it again, come back to it. But noting that, like, okay, we tried it, we need to adapt something. And then you make jigs, and those are in the curriculum. It shows you even with folding, if the folding of a towel is too tricky, you can make something, a board to put in the middle, and it just gives the individual an idea of where to stop, right? And then you pull it out. So you kind of, again, go back to trial and error, you know. Some friends have always impressed me with the things they've done successfully without me needing to change something. And other friends were honest that it was frustrating, and we looked at it in a different way.
True.
It's what we do, right? We do it all the time anyways for our friends that we're helping. So I think it's just now thinking about it in jobs, right? In that format of employment.
Right.
So it's definitely important to train our children for vocation, but how does it benefit the child? What are the different skills that the child pick up, or is there a change in their personality, self-esteem, confidence? What are the different kinds of benefits that the children derive out of this program?
I have found it absolutely to be confidence through communication. I think for anyone, once you find a way to communicate your needs, you feel more confident, less anxious, and sort of, right, you have that voice. And that is so important for me, for everyone. And that was one piece I found drove me to create this, was because so many things I found had a lot of great vocational training, but they were very high and hard to understand. And I wanted to create something that allowed non-readers, readers, right? Those that use alternative ways to communicate and create a voice for everyone while on this journey. And so through that, I've really seen individuals just find that spark, find vocation, and be able to say, I really enjoy what I do. Not just it's busy work, or, you know, I have to go to work, or I don't have employment, but they're happier. They're contributing to society, and everybody deserves to feel that. You know, I think learning how to communicate at work benefits everyone. So that's one skill everyone walks away with. Understanding their community and the jobs in their community, that awareness is such a benefit. And then also, again, having that toolbox. So after trying the different modules, now they can say, I've worked with, you know, items in retail. I've worked with, you know, items in grocery. I've practiced things in the restaurant. And you can, even when going to jobs, put that on your resume. You can include completing the I Can Work program. I've done these 5 modules, you know, show that pre-vocational work to your future employer.
Right. So in a way, it's like, you know, we do an internship. After we complete a course, we go for an internship so that we can put all our knowledge to the test. That, you know, this is what I'm able to do. And that also helps us to identify whether we would be interested in it or not, whether we want to change our field. So it would work in a similar manner for these children with special needs as well.
Exactly. See, it's really universal. That's the beauty of it, right? And it's what we all have needed and benefited from. It's just how early do you start? What pace do you go at, right? For that individual. That's really the difference. But exactly, right? It's just an opportunity to practice those skills. You have someone you can communicate with to say, this is working, this isn't, right? I've needed that at every job. I mean, it's exactly that. Yep.
So you mentioned, Angela, that communication is a very important skill, and that's at the heart of the program, because the child needs to be able to one, reflect whether they liked the job that they tried or not, and how they would want to communicate regarding it. what about the children who have communication difficulties?
So
So
there
how do
are,
we follow those children?
yes. So we have created, it's called alternative augmentative communication formats for the program. So things are in a Velcro format where you can provide them in alternative fields, so that if it's at the end of reflecting, there's a reflection strip and you can take those choices off and that individual can either remove, point, or give their reflection, because I wanted to have, or you can take those images and we can put them right on the device. And then they have their own reflection for work where it's, I need more work. You know, they have yes, no. They say hi to their coworkers. You know, we build that page on their device to communicate when working. So there's two ways to kind of engage in that way. There's also vocational word walls where, again, you can make them manipulated. We have, you know, matching memory. So individuals that may not have that verbal expression can still engage and show that they know the different jobs and vocabulary words in the community. So it's neat. You know, there's definitely a variety of ways we can engage and show expression, understanding, and really learning, you know, with employment.
Right. So would you say, like, are there a set of skills that you would prioritize over other set of skills while teaching children a particular vocation?
I chose and have found over the years that starting with job readiness, which really does build more of those interpersonal skills, you know, teamwork, the communication piece, uniforms, preparing for work, how do you dress for work, and time management. Those are sort of the beginning components, and that's the job readiness piece. Those you're going to carry over throughout all of the training. That's why I like to start there, because each day you're going to be using a time card. You want to be, you know, you want to show you're ready for work. You want to tell your supervisor, I'm ready to work, and sort of practice those skills when you're doing the hands-on work. I then do recommend choosing, you know, either office work to focus on, which I call clerical, the food service, retail, or grocery, because those are going to be sort of those next starter jobs or those next community jobs. So if you focus in those modules and try a few of those skills, that will really help you kind of build that, you know, those skills in each of those areas, and then decide where to go to next.
Right. True. So, Angela, could you give us examples, you know, which are specific to a particular student's challenges? Like just now we spoke about children with difficulties with communication. What about other kinds of challenges? Maybe someone who has a lot of behavioral issues. So what kind of vocation would you choose for a person like that? Because if a child has a tantrum or a meltdown during the job, then how does the child and the other people at work manage it?
So most work environments would have a plan prior, and I imagine someone as a job coach to support, hopefully, you know, sort of established, at least from personal experience in those environments. So there is a little bit of a plan in place, and you really do want to monitor frustration level and try to find a task or a job that is enjoyable to the individual, that is sort of expressing that behavior concern, because maybe their behavior is communication, as we all know, that they aren't liking the job. And as much as we may want them to be in that job, we might have to recognize this isn't working, right? We as the support system have to think outside of the box a little bit and maybe find the interest in that individual that is a little unique, right? And maybe it's video games. All right, great. Can we find a way for you to create videos, you know, or brainstorm a bit, right? Come up with those tasks that do express and find spark for that friend so that they are less frustrated. Now, I know that's not the real world. I know that, like, I get frustrated at work, right? And I know that that is the truth. I think our focus would be building up the stamina. So not just having that individual go right into work, give them that skill base, give them that foundation, have the time to maybe volunteer first, try 30 minutes, you know, go slow. I think sometimes we go quick and then we kind of backpedal a little bit. And I think my whole focus has always been really try to start in middle school, and let's do this a little gently, right? Like a little gentler, like a little slower, so that the individuals feel confident and not frustrated.
Right.
I don't know if that answers it, but I think that's our best bet, you know, is really as the support person looking at what can we do differently in a way, you know, than what we think is traditional maybe.
So, like you said, that there would be a job coach. Along with that, there are other people working in the same environment.
Right.
People who don't have special needs. How do you prepare those people to accept this child with special needs who is working, because this child may not have the same kind of output, even with double the effort?
So typically I have found work environments that are supporting job coaching and this model of pre-employment have either had the conversation or know that their environment is going to be welcoming and a little more unique, ideally. Now, that's not to say things won't come up, and that is the challenge, is how to, in the moment, as the job coach or the manager or the student, you know, how to manage individuals that don't understand differences, right? Because we see that often. And I know myself as an educator, I become defensive initially, right? I get mama bear and I'm like, hold on, you know. So it is sort of a practice of, you know, and I'll start most things with, you know, all right, friend, I hear you, but we're learning, we're all learning, you know, and I try to just always encourage anywhere we are in any environment, like, you know, we're all learning and this is not intentional. No one's trying to hurt anyone. And let's just try again, right? And sort of reset. And so I think it is trying to find those work environments and working with your high school, you know, teacher to find those workplaces that are more open initially to set up a more positive first experience. I know myself, like, we knew where we could go and practice retail. We knew what hotel was going to work with us in the beginning because we had done some off-campus work. And the community, hopefully you'll feel, really receives you well. And I think this is how we make the change, because work environments have to change for all individuals, right? Our friends don't need to change for them as much as we need to change for them. And I think that's the future for so many is, you know, it doesn't have to be a pretty little box. It can be teamwork and it can look unique and it can look amazing.
True, true. I really like how you highlighted the point that it's the job environment that needs to be accommodating, not the children who need to be able to adjust to whatever the environment might be like. Because at the end of the day, the society, the community, the working environment needs to be inclusive and accepting of all kinds of diverse individuals.
Right. You know, it's one thing to say we're welcome, but are you really welcoming, right? Are you really, you know, adapting to what it can look like, right? Versus just saying, sure, we're going to hire, you know, individuals that are diverse, but are you really doing it successfully? And that does take us advocating for that, because this is still forward thinking of us. As remarkable as you may find that, us trying to change the work environment is still something new, right? This is the future that we're fighting for, really. So it's a good mission, and it's what I've been sparked to do, and I'm loving it. But it really is important to encourage, model, and teach, right, our community how to build all up and not just to conform.
True, true. So thank you, Angela. You've helped us understand what is vocational training, what parents should focus on at home so that they can help the children develop the skills. Because after all, these skills are also life skills. They are not just so that the child can have a job and earn as a means of living, but also to be able to survive independently within the house as well. Like you mentioned, a lot of household chores. And that's when it all begins.
Yeah, you know, it really does start there, and then that carries over, because again, the confidence, the independence, and the skill set is there to then apply in other places, which is our goal.
Right.
So
thank you so much, Angela. Thank you for joining us and helping us understand about vocational training.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I appreciate your interest in all you're doing to help so many. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much. Everyone in the audience, do check out Angela's Instagram page. She designs beautiful, breathtaking jewelry items. And I'm sure you would all love them. Also, there are a lot of YouTube videos that she's uploaded, and on her LinkedIn, she has samples of the curriculum I Can Work, so that you can refer to it and help your children.
And I'm here to
So
help
thank you,
sincerely.
everyone.
Yes, reach out anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.